Hello guys, welcome to the preview of the play-in matchup between the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. The Hawks were the 8th seed and the Heat are the 7th seed in this matchup. I'm going to start talking about the Heat, then give you my thoughts on the Hawks, and then give you my prediction and what I think will happen for the game. So without further ado, let's get started. So for this season series, the Miami Heat would claim a 3-1 win overall, beating the Hawks 3 times. Miami Heat this season as a whole started rather slowly, and they worked their way into it to the point now where they had a comfortable record over the 500 range. And they've added guys like Kevin Love throughout the year to try and address the lack of three-point shooting. But nevertheless, a concern for the Heat remains the fact that they scored the least points per game in the whole comp, 109 points per game, which is something they're going to need to. Obviously, they win games on the defensive end, but when it comes to playoffs time, you can trust your defense, but getting into a bit of a groove from 3 won't hurt the team at all, given they're rather mediocre in that metric. But as I alluded to before, the Heat do rely on their defense to win games, as they're a top 10 defense in terms of defensive rating, with tools such as Jimmy Butler obviously going on both ends, and Bam Adebayo to name a couple, obviously, very briefly. Obviously, Kyle Lowry's a bit of a handy defender. Oladipo can do a bit for you on that end as well. Caleb Martin, they have a roster filled with players that are capable on the defensive end. Jimmy Butler this year has averaged 23 points per game, and they have another 2 players in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro who have averaged above 20 points per game. They look to be crucial again. And looking at the playoffs last year, not only did they keep Trae Young quiet, as he only averaged 15 points against them in the 5-game series, where he averaged 18% from 3 and 32% from the field. So in a way, this being only one match does favor the Atlanta Hawks in that way. But I think that the Heat have the blueprint on keeping Trae Young quiet, and they will be able to hone in and focus on him. Obviously, DeJounte Murray is someone that they do need to watch on the defensive end that has been added to the roster. But as a whole, the Heat need to make sure that defensively they're sound, which is something they will rely on, especially in this game, which will have a playoffs atmosphere. And yeah, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks before I give you my prediction. The Atlanta Hawks themselves have had a rather up and down year, often, I guess, frustrating their fans with a constant win-loss, and that's shown by their near 500 record. Offensively, that's the Hawks' strong suit, especially when you have Trae Young as your point guard. They've been in the top, 5 of the league in terms of points per game for most of the season, and despite shooting again, a middling 35% from 3. They've been a pretty capable offensive team. However, as a whole, for the team, the defensive side of the floor has remained an issue, as despite their rim protection in Clint Capella and the perimeter play of DeJounte Murray, the team still remains a bottom half of the league team in terms of defensive rating. So it will be interesting to see how they can balance Miami's lack of offense with their lack of defense, and vice versa in terms of their, really good offense and then the Heat's really good defense. That's going to be a factor as well for the team. Looking at the year, Trae Young had another good season with slight dips in efficiency. Despite some early hiccups, DeJounte Murray did fit in, and guys like DeAndre Hunter, who got paid, and Bogdan Bogdanovic have been very important. Clint Capella, again, playing that role as a center, playing some good minutes for them, providing defense. And despite John Collins and that trade debacle, he's still been a useful and valuable contributor for them. Now, as I mentioned before, the play last season in the first round between these two teams, where Trae Young was shut off and beaten quite comprehensively, the Atlanta Hawks are going to need to find ways to play through DeJounte Murray at times if Trae Young's having a cold spell, and just making sure that their offense is able to work if Trae Young is not in a position where he can play well. However, the fact that this is only one game and it's a once-off does suit Atlanta in that way, given that they, can get lucky with a fluke in some senses, where in a 5-game series like last year, a good game from Trae would be the equivalent to this, whereas he'd have 4 other games to try and, need to do the job. As a whole, we'll be in Miami. I think a lot of people are backing Miami, and that's something I'll probably do myself. Miami will win, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Trae Young will play better than what his stats showed last year in that series. So that is my prediction for the video. Don't forget to tell me what you guys think will happen. And yeah, until next time, peace out and thank you for watching.